So we're going to start with a very easy element, and again we get to use the default cube, which is always exciting. So I just want to change the scale of this because we know that all of our boxes are 1 meter by 1 meter. I'm going to use this to make the block that falls from the sky. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to tab into edit mode, and actually before we do that we're going to hit Ctrl and A and apply the scale so that our bevels work properly. And I'm just going to put a couple of loop cuts in, and then we're just going to pick up some of these edges, just very slightly move them about a little bit so it's not perfect. And then we can start beveling some edges as well. So you remember this from before. I'm going to click on a vertex, and then if we pull it out, nothing happens to start with. If we change vertices, we can then create these kind of like shrunk corners. We could select a couple of edges and try beveling that, see what we get. Maybe I'm just going to slide these along a little bit so it's a bit more natural looking. So we're just kind of creating some slightly distressed edges. Again, I don't really mind what it looks like, it's just to get something in place. Let's just pull this down a little bit. There you go, that's a nice sort of falling from the sky type rock. Next thing I want to do is add a bevel modifier. So I'm going to use bevel, and just gives it that more interesting softened low poly look. So let's just dial that edge down a little bit, bump up our segments. Nice. And we're just going to apply that. Okay, so now we want to break this into some chunks. So what we're going to use is a little plugin called Cell Fracture, which comes included with Blender. So go to Preferences, go to Get Extensions, and if you type in Cell Fracture, mine is already installed, so I'm not getting an install button, but it should pop up. And then just check that it's enabled, because for some reason mine has turned off there. So I'm going to turn that on. And then if you go to Object, Quick Effects, and choose Cell Fracture, we get a whole bunch of scary numbers. And the only one that I want to choose is this source limit, I'm going to set that to 5. So that should reduce the amount of chunks, and I've accidentally clicked it off. Let's have another go. Quick Effects, Cell Fracture, 5, and then we hit OK. And it does its work. And then it's going to create our original cube underneath, which we don't need that anymore, so we can delete that. And now if I pull these away, we've got a full set. So we could do some rigid body simulations in Blender, and let's do a little bonus lesson work. I'll show you how you can do that, just so you've got it, because it's nice to know. So I'm just going to save this scene out first, and we're going to call it Psych Game Elements. So if you wanted the physics in Blender to do all the calculations for you, select these objects, go to Rigid Body and choose Add Active. And then we're going to make it something for it to collide with. So I'm going to make a quick plane, and put it down, scale it. And then we are going to go to Object, Rigid Body, Add Passive, and then if we hit play, we've got our automatic fracturing block. Cool, but I don't want to do it like that. We're going to do this old school hand animation style. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to join all of these objects together. And we're going to hit Control J. And then I've had some issues with this, so I'm just going to select everything and then hit M to merge by distance. And if I go back in now and select one of these faces, it should retain these edges. But I have found with sometimes if I haven't merged the vertices, these faces can disappear. So we should be good now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use something called a shape key. And what that lets us do is take the mesh, move elements about, and then keyframe the slider between the two. I'll show you what I mean. So we need to go over here to the data section with our object selected and hit the first button. And this is our default state, our basis. So we then make another one. So just for the sake of argument, I'm going to pick this element up. So I'm going to click one face and then hit the L key. And we're just going to move it over like this. And then if I hit the tab key, you'll see it returns back to where it was. And now this slider, and as I move that, I can control, it's like tweening between the two states. So let's delete this because I don't actually want that to happen. So let's assume this block's going to fall down. And what I want to do is just put some very slight movement on some of these blocks at the bottom. So we're going to hit the L key, and then I'm going to pivot around this point at the bottom. So if I then choose this vertex here, I just click it off and then click on again, and then hit the full stop key and choose active element. Then if I double tap the R key to rotate, I can kind of rotate it around this point. So I just want to break it away from the box just slightly. So maybe something like this, and you get to choose how much it's breaking apart. If I hit the tab key now, and we can just kind of slide like that. So we're going to do this on a few of these shapes. So let's go back into here, use the L key, select this one, and we're going to do the same trick. So hit 1 on the keypad, and then select and unselect, and it will still be an active element, so we can rotate slightly away, and we just want to sort of break the box like this. That's looking cool. And there's going to be a bit of intersection, but it doesn't really matter, Because I don't want this tutorial to be 9 hours long, we're going to do stuff roughly, and I'm going to leave it to you to put the polish in. So let's just move this one. I really love this technique for doing like quick animation stuff, and you'd be surprised how much stuff you can actually kind of get away with animating in this style and not having to do rigs or... So let's just... And so I think because everything else has moved away, we need to just animate this part as well. So make sure we're using the L key, not the K key. And then I think this would rotate down slightly and something like that. So it's kind of, yeah, that looks convincing. Cool. So we're not going to do the animation yet, but to give you an idea of how this would work, we can keyframe the height. So we'll start up there, hit I to keyframe it, and we'll do this again properly in our finished scene. And then move it out to, I've already made a mess of this. Just going to undo that. Okay, so we're going to move this up here, hit I to keyframe our location, and we'll move it for, I don't know why it's moving like that. I think I might still have rigid bodies applied to, have I still got rigid? Yeah, okay. If, like me, you were showing off something, let's just remove the rigid body. So we do that by going to Object, Rigid Bodies, Remove. Never hit line happens. Great. See, I'm always in two minds about whether to leave these mistakes in, but this is the reality of working in Blender, that you will do things, and it's no good me showing you how to do it perfectly, and then you're getting stuck in a tutorial because you don't know how to undo that. So if you ever accidentally applied a rigid body, that's what's happened. So you just go to Object, Rigid Body, Remove. Okay, so I've got a keyframe there, and let's just have it falling at 10, and we'll keyframe that. Like that, and then when it hits the ground at 10, we're going to keyframe our value here. So maybe it needs to start just before, I don't know, let's try it. So we're going to hit I, let's hover over there, and then we're going to move over 2 keyframes and put that to 1, and hit I there. So you'll see that it hits the ground and it fractures. Boom. Nice. We've done all of that without physics, without any really complicated animation.